When you are in pain, you become someone else, not temporarily, not accidentally. You know exactly who you become. You have told yourself it is the hurt talking. That is not true. The hurt is the permission. What follows it is you. Schopenhauer studied human cruelty for 4 decades. What he found does not let anyone off the hook, including you. This video will name the mechanism underneath your cruelty, not the trigger, not the wound, the mechanism. By the end, you will not be able to call it reaction. Schopenhauer's central claim was this: every human being is driven by something he called the will, not will in the sense of willpower, will in the sense of a blind, purposeless force that cannot stop wanting. It does not want specific things. It wants endlessly, without direction, without satisfaction. And the most important thing Schopenhauer understood about this force is what it does under pressure. When the will is frustrated, when life blocks it, denies it, humiliates it, it does not retreat, it redirects. It finds something it can reach, usually the person closest to it. Schopenhauer called this the transfer of pain, not a metaphor, a mechanical description of what actually happens inside a person who has been hurt and cannot reach the source of the hurt. The will does not process pain, it does not mourn it, it does not learn from it, it externalizes it. It finds a target that cannot fight back, or will not, or loves you enough to absorb it. Clinical psychology has a different vocabulary for the same mechanism: displacement, projection, emotional flooding. Schopenhauer was describing these processes in 1818, more than a century before the clinical language existed. He was not interested in excusing this. He was interested in the fact that no one who does it recognizes it as a choice. That is the part he found most significant. Not that people hurt each other, but that they genuinely believe, in the moment, that they had no other option. That is not a moral failure. That is a structural feature of how the will operates under pain. And here's what Schopenhauer understood that most people, including you, have never let themselves fully think through. The cruelty does not come from the pain. It comes from the relief the pain makes possible. In the late 19th century, a Viennese physician named Joseph Breuer documented something he had not expected to find. His patients, educated, respectable, functioning adults, were not primarily damaged by the traumatic events in their histories. They were damaged by what those events had given them permission to do. The permission to withdraw, to refuse, to punish, without being held accountable for punishing. The wound was real, but the wound had also become a currency. Schopenhauer would not have been surprised. He had already written that the most sophisticated human beings are the ones most skilled at concealing from themselves what they are actually doing. Research from the field of interpersonal psychology has tracked something called pain displacement in long-term relationships. The pattern is consistent across cultures, across age groups, across relationship types. When a person experiences humiliation, professional failure, or sustained low-grade pain, not a single dramatic wound, but the accumulated weight of ordinary disappointment, their behavior toward their closest relationships deteriorates. Not immediately, not overtly, gradually, in the small ways that are the hardest to name. Shorter answers, less warmth, a precision in the way they identify the other person's failures that was not there before. They are not lying when they say they are fine. They genuinely do not know where it is coming from. Schopenhauer: we are accustomed to watch other people as though through a glass darkly, but the man who watches himself has the worst view of all. Think about the last time something went wrong, not a catastrophe, something ordinary, a rejection, a professional embarrassment, a conversation that left you smaller than when it began. And then think about what happened when you got home. It was the tone you told yourself. Not what you said, the tone, or the timing. You had just had a difficult day. They should have known. This is the mechanism Schopenhauer was describing, not cruelty as a character trait, cruelty as a hydraulic system. Pressure builds somewhere it cannot be released, and it finds the nearest exit. The person at the nearest exit is almost always the person who loves you enough to be there. And here is the thing that the research confirms, and Schopenhauer already knew. You will not remember doing it the way they remember receiving it. That asymmetry is not an accident. It is structural. The will has no interest in accurate memory, only in relief. And now we need to stop talking about other people. There is a person in your life who has absorbed pain that was not theirs to carry. You know who it is. They did not leave. Or they have not left yet. And you have told yourself this means they are fine, that they understand, that what you did was not what it looked like from the outside. You do not actually believe that. You know the look on their face that you have learned not to ask about. You know the pause before they answer when you ask if they are all right. You know the difference between the version of yourself you are with them now and the one you were before the wait started. Schopenhauer's framework does not offer you the explanation you want. It does not say, you were in pain, so it is understandable. It says, you were in pain and the pain found a use. There's a difference between those two sentences that you should not let yourself smooth over. Because here is what the will does when it redirects pain onto someone who accepts it. It learns. It learns that this person is safe to use. It learns that this location is available. It does not distinguish between the person and the function they have come to serve. And the person, because they love you, has been teaching the will this lesson every time they stayed. This is what Schopenhauer called the deepest cruelty, not the violence, not the dramatic wound, the slow structural conversion of another person into a pressure valve. You have been in pain. That is true. And you have passed that pain to the person who is most available to receive it. The question Schopenhauer leaves you with is not, can you stop? The question is, do you want to? Because the relief is real, and the will does not give up real relief without a cost. Schopenhauer did not believe the will could be defeated. He was not offering you a solution. He was offering you something rarer. Clarity, the clarity that comes from understanding a mechanism completely, not forgiving it, not eliminating it, but seeing it with enough precision that it can no longer pretend to be something else. What he found across 4 decades of observing human behavior is that cruelty under pain is not a character flaw. It is not a moral failing specific to particular people. It is what the will does when it has no other root. This does not mean it is acceptable. It means it is understandable in a way that is worse than unforgivable, because it means it will keep happening unless something specific changes. Not the pain. Pain is not optional. What changes is the root. Schopenhauer's one genuine concession to human agency was this: the will can be redirected consciously, but only by a person who has first stopped pretending they do not know what they are doing. That is the only intervention he considered honest. Not therapy, not resolution, not forgiveness. Recognition, first, without the qualifier of context. Not, I did this because I was hurting. Just, I did this. He was not sentimental about whether that recognition would lead anywhere. He thought most people would look directly at the mechanism and then look away, because the will is still there, and the person who absorbs it is still available, and the relief is easier than the recognition. The cruelty was never really about them. It was about what they were willing to carry, and what you were willing to let them. Schopenhauer knew this. He tried to change his relationship with his mother for 40 years. He stopped fighting it. He wrote about it instead. The writing did not solve the problem, but it was the most honest account of the problem that has ever been written. You are not failing to change. You are a person in whom the will has decided what stays. Knowing that is not the same as being released from it, but it is better than spending another year believing the problem is discipline. There is a question behind this one. If the will decides what stays, what decided that this particular thing would stay? Not habit, not history, not circumstance. Something selected it. Something looked at everything available to crave and chose this. Schopenhauer spent the last years of his life studying the answer. The next video is about what the will selects and why it always selects what costs the most.